pet toilet. Anyone who's ever traveled with a pet knows just how difficult it is. We're not even talking about a bunch of different papers and vaccinations. The animal simply can't use the bathroom at the airport. Thankfully, the situation is gradually beginning to change. A federal ordinance in the United States obliged all airports serving more than 10,000 passengers a year to have animal assistance zones. Look how creatively some cities have approached this issue. According to the law, just a small area with artificial turf is enough. But why not take care of the animals the way they deserve? At Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, for example, pets can use a 2x4-foot room with artificial grass, sprinkler cleaning systems, and even miniature fire hydrants. In addition, there are 3 outdoor areas with real grass, gravel, and wood chips, a real paradise for dogs. Strange eyes. The fact that some animals change their fur color in winter does not surprise us. But what about the eyes? Reindeer can do this trick. In summer, their eyes are golden, and in winter, they turn a deep blue. Of course, this has nothing to do with the camouflage, and especially the effects of cold weather. Scientists have found out that the so-called tapetum lucidum, or cat's eye, the reflective tissue behind the retina, changes color. It helps animals to see in the dark by reflecting any light that passes through the retina back onto it. Your cat has one, you know. Did you notice how its eyes glow yellow in the dark? Your pet isn't possessed by demons. This is just how the tapetum works. So why does this tissue turn blue in deer during winter? It's simple. These animals have to spend more time in the dark, and constantly dilated pupils leads to swelling of the eyes and squeezing of the tapetum fibers, and it begins to reflect blue waves instead of yellow ones. Physics in work. Endless commercial. We live in a world where ads are at every corner. While you can click the skip button on the internet, television does not give this opportunity. You have to go about your business for a couple of minutes. Imagine the surprise of viewers of the Woohoo channel in Brazil when the Old Spice commercial didn't end in 10 minutes or even an hour. Moreover, those who turned off the TV and went to bed were in for a surprise in the morning. The announcer kept on saying, "Smell amazing forever."
Smell amazing forever with the new Old Spice.
In total, the video lasted 14 hours, and this is the longest commercial in the world. It took around 100 people to create it too. They made more than 1,600 clips and mixed them using combinatorial analysis. By the way, the company has made an endless version for internet users too. You can challenge your friends who can watch it for the longest time. Twitter logo. Now you'll realize how fast time flies. Twitter was created in 2006. Due to the original format, the social network quickly gained incredible popularity. We all started hanging out there, and somehow never once wondered what the bird has to do with it. Let's ask the co-founder of the company, Biz Stone. Biz was born in Boston, and he loves basketball, so naturally, he's a die-hard Boston Celtics fan. Who is the legendary player from this club, though? That's right, Larry Bird, one of the best players in NBA history. We understand that this reasoning seems far-fetched, but the information was confirmed by Stone himself. Another mystery solved. Flamingo feet. Have you ever wondered how a flamingo manages to stand on one leg for hours and not get tired? There are almost no muscles on the leg of this bird. Maybe the secret is in some special gene of endurance. Biologists decided to get to the bottom of things and conducted a whole study. First, they learned that flamingos can sleep in this position, at which point their balance actually gets even better. Their second discovery was even more shocking. Even a dead flamingo retains the ability to stand on one leg. The secret lied in the structure of the flamingo skeleton. Like humans, these birds have 2 main joints on their leg, but the one we thought was the knee turned out to be the ankle. The knee is actually hidden deeper in the skeleton of the bird. By pulling up another leg, the flamingo bends the knee and gets a point of support. In other words, the flamingo doesn't stand, but sits. Ancient bugs. Last year, a group of scientists from the Dresden University of Technology went to great lengths to compile the first family tree of bedbugs. Yeah, it sounds incredibly funny and completely pointless, but the result will surprise you. The researchers used the DNA of 30 species. In addition to the usual bed pests, they also studied a bug that feeds on the blood of bats. They had to climb into creepy, hard-to-reach caves to get them. The analysis shows that these bugs are much older than scientists thought. According to preliminary calculations, calculations, these insects are 115 million years old, and it turns out that they coexisted with dinosaurs and possibly ruined their sleep. Do you understand what this means? There's a chance that one day you'll be bitten by a special bug and you'll become a superhero, Tyrannosaurus Man. Growths on trees. Finally, let's find out the answer to the question that's bothered us since childhood. What are these strange, huge warts that can be seen on some trees? This thing even has a name. It's called a burl. It consists of tree bud tissue that's not sprouted into foliage or turned into a twig. Burls usually appear when the tree's exposed to some kind of stress, like an injury, a virus, or a fungal infection. The tree's growth hormones are disrupted, and it produces such a freak. Sometimes they grow to incredible sizes too. The largest known burl was found in 1984 in Australia on a eucalyptus. It reached about 6.5 feet in height and had a strange trombone shape. By the way, burls don't cause much harm to trees and don't reduce their life expectancy either. So basically, this is just like a fast-growing but benign tumor.
Barbie's full name is Barbara Millicent Roberts. Her parents are George and Margaret Roberts from Wisconsin, of all places. The Statue of Liberty is made of copper, so it was originally the same color as a penny. It's turned completely green because of oxidation in 1920. Well, it's not easy being green. One glass of water has more atoms in it than there are glasses of water in all the oceans of the Earth. Check it out yourself. Some mountain chains, for example the Sierra Nevadas in California, have pink snow that tastes and smells like watermelons. Stay away from the yellow snow. An ear of corn always contains an even number of rows, normally 16 of them, and kernels, 800 on average. You can really smell rain. It smells like a mix of plant oils, bacteria, and ozone. Salvador Dali himself designed the Chupa Chups logo in 1969. He also insisted that it should be placed on top of the wrapper so that everyone could see it. The Southern Hemisphere version of Aurora Borealis is Aurora Australis. The best time to see the southern lights is also in the winter. Victorians used to say prunes instead of cheese before taking a picture to look more serious. Smiling was reserved for the uneducated. The Sargasso Sea has no shores. It's located smack dab in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean, and its borders are all natural. They are 4 ocean currents. When you sneeze, the air blows out of your nose at 100 miles per hour. To find out if cranberries are ripe or not, growers drop them and see if they can bounce over a wooden barrier. Only ripe berries can make it. 90% of the world's population lives in the northern hemisphere. Ketchup used to be a medicine that was sold as pills across the US in the 1800s. The world's longest musical piece lasts 639 years. Organ 2, ASLSP, as slow as possible, is being performed in Germany and should be finished by 2640. Don't miss it! Every episode of Friends has the word friends in it. Who would have thought? Jousting is the official sport of the state of Maryland. Video game designer Toru Atawani explained a pizza with one slice removed was the inspiration for Pac-Man. Cookie Monster from Sesame Street has a real name, and it's Sid. An adult is made up of 7 octillion atoms. That's 7 with a boatload of zeros. There's just 3 billion stars in our galaxy for comparison. A blue whale's heart is as large as a small car, and you can hear it beat from 2 miles away. Dolphins call each other by names, or rather special vocal whistles. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the first moon landing, 2,000 years, than to the construction of the Great Pyramid, 2,500 years. Bubble wrap was originally supposed to be a textured wallpaper. It was invented by sealing 2 shower curtains together. Facebook like button was supposed to be the awesome button first. You will spend around 6 months of your life waiting for red lights to turn green. Enjoy! A bolt of lightning has enough energy to toast 100,000 slices of bread. In 1992, nearly 30,000 rubber ducks were dropped into the Pacific Ocean off a cargo ship. People still keep finding them from Australia to Alaska. There's a bridge over a highway in the Netherlands built just for squirrels, but a maximum of 5 squirrels use it per year. The little hole in the bottom of your padlock lets water drain out in case the lock is out in the open during a rain. The largest snowflake in history was the size of a frisbee. It fell in Montana in 1887. Roosters have built-in earplugs that keep them from going deaf from their own noise. Croissants that many see as one of the symbols of France were invented in Vienna, Austria, and only came to France in the 1830s. The world's largest pyramid isn't in Egypt, but in Puebla, Mexico. If your brain were a computer, it would perform 38,000 trillion operations per second. Even the most powerful supercomputer in the world has only 0.002% of that capacity. To become a taxi, or rather cab driver in London, you'd have to memorize 320 routes, 25,000 streets, and 20,000 sites. GPS is cheating. The expiration date on a water bottle is for the bottle, not the water. Plastic can leach inside with time, and water never goes bad. The most successful pirate of all times was a woman named Ching Shin. She had 80,000 men under her command. The average human checks their phone every 6 minutes. That sums up to a total of 150 times a day. The African continent is the only one that sits in all 4 hemispheres, and both the equator and prime meridian pass through it. Roadway lines were invented thanks to leaky milk wagons. A guy named Edward Hines saw it dripping in the center of the road in 1911 and thought it was a great idea. Incan people used knots instead of notes to keep records. NASCAR drivers sweat so much in extreme heat, they can lose up to 10 pounds in one race. Pineapples were named after pine cones by European explorers because of their spiky looks. Your body gives off enough heat in half an hour to boil a gallon of water. Apple had its own clothing and lifestyle line in 1986, but it wasn't a success. All blue-eyed people share one distant ancestor, as they all have the same gene sequences for eye color. An Australian man tried to sell New Zealand on eBay. The bidding was stopped at $3,000 by eBay officials. Mount Everest isn't the tallest in the world. The champion is Mauna Kea. It's a rock of just 13,800 feet above sea level, but the rest of which is hidden under the water. There is a city called Boring in Oregon that has a sister city called Dull in Scotland. The question mark and exclamation mark you probably use a lot to finish sentences has a name. It's Interrobang. Doritos can be used as good kindling. They are easily flammable and burn for a long time. Wow, that's incendiary. IKEA stands for this guy's name. I'm not even going to try. The founder's name, farm where he grew up, and his hometown. When glaciers are melting, they make a loud fizzy sound called Bergy Seltzer. I'm not even going to try. He was the only person to have ever played golf outside the Earth. He did that on the Moon in 1971 during the Apollo 14 space mission. Continental plates drift at about the same rate as your fingernails grow. Cats can be allergic to humans, but it's most likely to be the perfume you wear or soap you use, not your natural scent. There is a fruit in Central and South America named black sapote that tastes like chocolate pudding. Art used to be an Olympic sport. Between 1912 and 1948, people competed in sculpture, music, painting, and architecture. Black boxes on planes are actually bright orange. It makes them easier to be located if, they have to.
Tea bags. Everybody knows that the British are the greatest fans of tea in the world. Each year, they drink 60 billion cups of this hot beverage. Well, to some degree, the British are also responsible for the commercial distribution of tea around the world. They built tea factories in the 19th century and introduced machines to the workshops. However, the market was truly revolutionized by another invention, which was accidentally made by American entrepreneur Thomas Sullivan in 1904. We are talking about the ordinary tea bags, which greatly simplify the brewing. So, who invented them? In fact, originally tea bags were conceived as a way to sort the tea leaves. Sullivan sent samples of different types of tea to his customers, putting just enough leaves in each tea bag to make 1 cup of tea. These samples, he believed, could help make a purchasing decision easier. The clients would not have to buy tea in huge quantities, but at the same time, they could enjoy the taste of each type. However, not all of Sullivan's clients interpreted his idea correctly. Many of them started brewing tea using these tea bags, and that turned out to be a good idea. The taste of the beverage was no different from the usual one, and the product packaging promised to revolutionize the industry. By 1929, the first tea bags made on factories started to conquer the market. Today, 96% of the tea consumed in the UK is bagged. Copper handles. Have you noticed that most doorknobs are made of brass? There is a logical explanation for this. The thing is that copper-based alloys, especially brass, prevent the spreading of germs. Perhaps this is not so important if you live alone in an apartment where the doors are always open and you don't really need to touch the handles. However, when it comes to an office or hospital, for example, a doorknob can become the breeding ground for dangerous bacteria. By the way, the amazing properties of copper were known to our ancestors in ancient times. Back then, vessels made from this material were used to purify drinking water. In addition, this chemical element was used in the production of antibacterial drugs before the invention of antibiotics. How exactly brass protects from germs is still not fully clear. A recent study by British scientists suggested that the secret could lie in the interaction of this material with human sweat. When you touch the handle with a slightly sweaty palm, the salt produced by the human body starts the corrosion process in copper. This process hampers the activity of microorganisms. So, according to scientists, copper doorknobs can neutralize a huge number of pathogenic organisms. But you should not rely on them only. Don't forget about basic hygiene routines like washing your hands before eating. Microwave mesh. Have you noticed that there's a fine metal mesh inside any microwave? The one that always makes it difficult to see what's inside?
Work like a regular microwave or what?
This is not a meaningless design feature, as many people might think. In fact, the metal mesh is there to stop microwaves from escaping. This mesh has a peculiar predecessor called the Faraday cage. This is a device invented in 1836 by the English physicist and chemist Michael Faraday. It usually looks like a grounded cage made of a very conductive material. Triangles in airplanes. The airplane is a mysterious and majestic machine. It has long become a part of our lives. However, many still wonder how a 50-ton Colossus can actually fly. It is not surprising there are many little secrets and tricks on board airplanes. For example, you might see small black triangles in some planes. Usually, they are located right above the windows and they are hard to notice with a naked eye. What are these mysterious symbols for? The reason is simple. These triangles mark the passenger seats with the best view of the wings of the aircraft. A visual check may be required in an emergency when the sensors malfunction and the pilots need to check the position of the flaps. In addition, sometimes such triangles can serve as a seating guideline if there are few passengers on board. Since the center of gravity of the aircraft is located in the wing area, correct weight distribution will ensure a successful flight. Wing hooks. Obviously, the wings of the aircraft should be as streamlined as possible and made of aerodynamic materials. But if you look closely, you will notice a strange hook on the wings of many airplanes. At first glance, it makes no sense to place it there. There is also a simple explanation for this. In case of emergency, for example, when landing in water, passengers will have to walk on the smooth surface of the wing. Of course, it is difficult not to fall in such a situation because not everyone is in good physical shape and has a perfect sense of balance. That is why the designers came up with a special hook. A rope is attached to it and fixed on both sides. Using this rope, passengers can safely get out of the plane.